Yeah, let's start. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to see you again in 2024 on our Jmix 2.2 webinar. My name is Victor, and I'm the product manager of Jmix platform. Today, I'm assisting Konstantin, the head of platform engineering, and I will start with some general items, and he will follow with technical details. We are going to unwrap the list of new and most tasty features of Jmix 2.2 release. And we would also like to introduce our thoughts on major development efforts in relation to BPM area. We've announced it earlier. As usual, don't hesitate to write your questions in the YouTube chat. We'll try our best to answer them during the webinar. And if you ask something very complicated, we'll come back to you after this event, contacting you via email if you will leave it in the chat. Okay, let's start with what's new in the blog. First of all, I would like to pay attention that to the website. We've updated the main page of the Jmix website, and now it's always very complex to explain what Jmix is valuable for, and this is the third effort to do this. And I want to pay your attention to the Jmix values section, where we explicitly point out major values of the Jmix technology. Here you can see the developer comfort, the high productivity, and the full control of your project. And I also want to pay your attention to new articles appeared in the blog recently. This is sure the Jmix 2.2 release and the Jmix 2023 recap and the roadmap. The roadmap and the recap shows the major figures happened last year, some internal thoughts on the UI development based on our R&Ds around Flutter. And here you can see also the key directions, the main directions of the product development, but we'll go deeper today in our presentation. And first, I should mention that definitely community growth is essential for Jmix popularity among backend developers. And we are going to make huge improvements in this area, and the first step is already done. I'm really glad to announce that we've rolled out the free Jmix Studio RAD subscription. It means that everybody who uses Jmix since March will be able to use premium RAD features, first of all, Studio RAD features, if your project doesn't exceed more than 10 entities and 10 roles. And as for the views, there are no limitations, so you can do so many views as you want. So we anticipate that this will happen, the newcomers to adopt longer the technology. We know that it usually takes a lot of time, usually it takes more than 1 month. And moreover, it will help the newcomers to build their backend projects using free features, free RAD features, because you will find everything you need for building your backend with admin UI in Java with this functionality. Next thing which we are going to bring in the second quarter is Jmix AI Assistant. We know that sometimes our full text search in the Jmix documentation makes people mad because it simply cannot find what they want to. And we decided to implement this functionality as a standalone solution. It will be a web app. You can see the screenshot to the right. So here you will be able to put your question and receive the answer based on the documentation, based on the UI samples, and based on the special related to Jmix UI questions and threads on the forum. Now, what's most valuable is that this AI assistant won't only guide you through the things you should do, but it will also give you the examples of code, which you can copy paste into your project and continue working. So we think that it will definitely make less time for you to search for the answers on your questions. This technology is based on OpenAI technology, large language model, ChatGPT 4.0 Turbo, and it uses the retrieval augmented generation technology for this extended search. Yeah, the next thing is that we are going to improve video guides and tutorial for Jmix 2.2. You know that basically most of the videos on our YouTube channel related to Jmix 1.5 version are outdated, and that's why in April we are going to introduce the new video tutorial based on a popular Oracle domain area with employees in department. And we also want to present the video guides dedicated to the most popular add-ons. These are Maps reports, WebDAV, BPM, and REST API. Here you can see the time schedule also to the right. The next big thing is the Jmix Basic Free Learning course, which will be published on Udemy platform by the end of April. We decided not to reproduce the tutorial, the detailed tutorial on the YouTube channel, but to make it on the Udemy platform, to make it available to run through tests and check your knowledge with the dedicated questions following this course on the Udemy platform. Yeah, and the last one is the series of improvements in the documentation, where we are going to put additional information in the most complicated add-ons and functionality. To the right, you can see the map section, which was reconstructed in 2024 already. You can see that we've put here a special section describing the tutorial with examples. Then we brought another structure of items in the documentation with nice explanation of each aspect of using this technology. And the last thing, we've introduced a reference section, which explains the ground technologies, which will make you spend less time on searching the explanation of these ground technologies via the internet. So everything for your comfort should be done in documentation further. And the last thing which we are going to do to encourage our community to develop more add-ons and solutions is publishing the functionality for publishing commercial add-ons and solutions for third-party vendors. So that's mean that in the second half of 2024, you will be able to publish your add-on, paid add-on in the marketplace, and we will provide your infrastructure to provide the purchase process. In the first half of 2024, we are going to publish our own solution named Timesheets. This is quite a tiny thing which helps professional teams and developer teams to track the time. And this would be the first step to launch this initiative this year. If you are interested in participating in this program, please contact us following this email shown on this slide. That's all in general about the community growth. And now I want to uncover our basics and thoughts included in the business process automation platform based on Jmix we've announced for 2020 in 2024. So first, I'll go through the inputs received from the existing Jmix community last year. It gave us a lot of thoughts to implement this concept. Then I'll share our findings around the experience of teams adopting open source BPM engines worldwide. We've acquired this data, especially from the Camunda community, and processed a lot of information in this area. And finally, I'm going to present our future offering of the BPA platform based on Jmix and show the potential market perspective. Yeah, now let's start from this picture, which demonstrates the actual state of BPM engine implementation in Jmix. You may see that actually when we initialize the Jmix project with the BPM add-on, we get a BPM engine embedded in our project. So that means that in runtime it can be presented as the single container and connected with the single database. Based on the talks to the customers who implement open source BPM engines in production, we've got the information information that the schema to be should be as following. So our potential customers told us that the BPM engine should be decoupled from the Jmix application itself due to the need for clustering, for horizontal scaling of the BPM engine, and reducing the bottleneck in productivity of the process running on the side of BPM engine. This is the major improvement we are going to bring this year. And moreover, I want to share your key findings from the Camunda open source community. The first finding is that the open source BPM engines are really complicated and require steep learning curves. So that means that modern state of BPM engines, I mean primarily Flowable and Camunda, are so complex that they need quite the same time as, for example, starting springboot ecosystem. Teams when starting to adopt open source BPM engines usually don't pay enough attention to these and make a lot of mistakes on the beginning phase of building their BPM solutions. And finally, it is followed by massive refactoring of the project, and sometimes they need to rebuild everything from the beginning. The next thing is that the task list model is often recreated or created from scratch because teams need to generate custom process UIs for process forms in UI, and they do not have sufficient tools provided with the embedded forms in the open source BPM engine. The next thing is that the authorization model is often reworked by teams because they are suffering from problems while supporting the clustered mode of working the open source BPM engine, especially running in the Kubernetes cluster. So this is a typical headache. The next one is that due to the actual state of implementing BPM engines, which looks like as following: one BPM engine for one digital product. Teams meet the need for a tool to monitor multiple BPM engines, let's say in the same tool. So, and usually they need to search something in the open source area or build something by their own. Usually they do it once by once or copy it from another project. And the last one is that typically teams need a technology to configure auto deployment of developed BPM models in runtime, in the runtime of the process-driven application. And what's more, often they need the single point of truth where business analysts and BPM developers can find the final artifact describing what exact version of BPM model is running now in their application. Yeah, and what we are going to offer this year, we are going to provide an R&D and perform an MVP to fulfill the following architectural pattern. So we are going to split the Jmix application split the Jmix application with the BPM engine and implement the standalone version of this BPM engine, and at the same time leave the most valuable things which have been already implemented in Jmix. I mean, first of all, working with the data model, with services, working natively with the BPMN diagrams, with decision-making tables, working and designing forms, and designing UI along with their functionality to support standalone engine by making a new BPM client, which will replace the Flowable API, which we are using right now. So in this case, we'll be able to provide the Jmix developer with a seamless integrated environment for developing a backend with the UI supporting also process forms development with the dedicated open source BPM engine, which is deployed as a standalone instance. This will make available the potential scaling of these kind of solutions and resolve most of the issues of the typical open source BPM engine implementation in the projects while making a process-driven application. Yeah, and what will Jmix developers get by this offering? First of all, they will get a ready-to-use Spring Boot backend with admin UI for an open source BPM engine. Due to the fact that we are going to make it interoperable with the Flowable and Camunda open source engines, we anticipate that you will be able to connect this Jmix application with the open source engine of your choice. I've already mentioned, and I will say it one more time, that we will still provide a single development environment to design the data model services and BPM diagrams. And what's more, we will provide the ability to enable cluster mode for BPM engine to perform horizontal scaling of high-load applications using built on Jmix. Yeah, and what market perspective we see with that? The first thing is that we see that Camunda platform announced the end of life of their Camunda 7 version, one of the most popular, and we see threads on the forums. People are searching for alternatives for Camunda platform open source engine, and some of them are looking into the Flowable area. And we've got information from the Flowable team that they are not going to move this serious shift the same as Camunda performed. The Flowable is going to leave the both versions of the open source engine, I mean embedded and the standalone version, and supporting this open source engine as the first option in Jmix looks a pretty theme. The second trend we see is that companies worldwide are thinking about replacing their traditional BPMS projects, which have been installed in early 2000 or 2010 due to the fact that they're quite expensive. The next thing is that we see that businesses assume BPM technology as a commodity. It became a lot more cheaper, and there is much more interest in implementing this technology worldwide. BPM technology is also looks promising as an AI enabler. There are a lot of use cases right now in the internet when teams are adopting LLMs via APIs in their BPMN models because it's let's say more straightforward for business to understand what explicit business value can they get from that. So BPM model is truly the same let's say the solid ground to establish the talk between technical teams and the business, and to decide where AI can fit and get the most effect. Yeah, so it's the single language to interconnect them and to make collaborate in this area. And the last thing is that we recognize that BPMN and DMN is the only low code represented in the code, and it's fully fulfills with the Jmix strategy as the code first project, you may know. Yeah, and these are the milestones we are going to reach this year. We are going to present the new task list, October 2024 latest, which will support the BPM API client connected to the standalone BPM engine. We are going to, at the same time, we are going to provide the implementation of a standalone Flowable BPM engine. And a little bit later, we are going to deliver the new process monitoring, which will look like Camunda Cockpit for the standalone version of the BPM engine. And in 2024, we will try to do the same things with the Command 7 BPM engine, because it looks like the most, let's say, robust technology nowadays, and still Command is going to support it till 2030, and we know that there are a lot of projects which have the knowledge, the teams which have the knowledge of this technology implementation. Yeah, and now I'm going to put attention to the actual BPM improvements in Jmix 2.2. There are three major improvements. The first one is the process form UI generation. The next one is the BPMN model hot deploy. Me personally, I waited it for a long time, and some BPMN model runtime improvements. Let's look at how it's at the real application. How does it look like? Everything which I will explain today will be covered by the sample application, which you can find in our GitHub. Is the Jmix commercial add-ons demo, which we provide with the enterprise subscription trial. It is built on top of the domain model of sample HR application, which is fully covered in our tutorial. It is about the new employee onboarding, and in this sample application, a special business process is implemented, which allows to perform onboarding process, which performs the following. It performs the appointing tasks, assigning the tasks for allocating workspace, and granting system permission for the newcomer. This process is initialized by HR manager, and some manual tasks are performed by coordinator and by system administrator according to the model you can see on the screen. Yeah, so let's go in detail, and let's start from the BPMN model in runtime. Here you can see the first improvement. It is the better layout. So you can see that now all the fields in the BPMN model palette are split in two columns. It's much more comfortable to work with them because there are a lot of options. We recognize that it's quite hard to navigate here. The first thing which you can detect is that the due date has got a small hint, which helps you to remind how you should write the due date expressions. And you may also see that we've connected the due date with the business calendar field, where you can cite the business calendar for this due date calculation. So it's quite a straightforward thing. Another option which we've brought with the Jmix 2.2 is that service tasks designed in the runtime can be matched with a synchronous flag. This was a demanded option requested by the community. And what's more, we've also added the special field for failed job retry time cycle. It also supported with a hint describing how you should write the expression for this field. And the last thing which was presented in the BPMN runtime modeler is the Spring Bean parameters mapper. So now when you choose service task and choose the Spring Bean, you can choose the parameter which should be passed to this Spring Bean method out of the process variables, which were preliminarily declared in the process, and it certainly reduces the amount of problems with improper writing of these parameters in the modeler. So it's much more easy and straightforward to do this further. But this is not all improvements. Let's go to the studio. And one of the best things which we've made in the studio related to BPMN area is the ability to design the process forms, custom process forms faster, much faster. So you may know that along with the input dialog option, which automatically generates the dialog to work with parameters declared in the user task, you can see them here. We provide also an option to create a custom Jmix view, which you can design using Jmix View Designer. But let's say the sequence of creating this Jmix view includes a lot of steps with, let's say, boilerplate coding, where you should connect the process variables within the view controller context. And we've provided a special with Jmix 2.2. We've brought you a special wizard which helps you to do this, let's say, in a semi-automatic way. So let's do the following. I will choose this allocate workspace user task from input dialog to the Jmix view, and declare the Jmix view. Oops, something happened. It's the demo effect. Sorry. I need to relaunch because the wizard should be should appear here. One moment. Strange, it's not working right now. I will suspend the demo for a while and give the word to Konstantin. And while he will describe his area, I will try to fix this area and come back to you with the demo of this feature. Konstantin, can you please proceed?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone.
I will try to fix for a while.
Let me share my screen. So now let's check out some other recent updates in Jmix. We'll explore the newly added charts add-on, enhancements to our maps functionality, and the latest user interface improvements. Then we'll take a look at the new features in Studio and discuss recent system-level updates. In the end, we'll discuss our future release plans. The new charts add-on is based on the Apache eCharts. It's a very powerful and popular open-source JavaScript charts library. We have integrated it into Jmix UI and provided the XML and Java API, so you can completely control charts from the server side and bind them to your data model entities. Let's take a look at the UI samples application. It now contains a collection of chart examples. So this is an example of a line chart, which displays some values by dates. The chart is defined completely in XML, and in this chart element in the chart's namespace. Its main nested element is series, which defines the chart type, line in this case. You can display different types of charts in the same component if you define multiple series. For a line chart, you need to define the X and Y axis. For other types of charts, there are different options. The next important element here is dataset. It defines the chart data. Its nested source element binds the chart to a collection data container. So this chart shows data from the date value entity, and it uses its date attribute as a category on the x-axis, and the value attribute as a value on y-axis. The tooltip and data zoom elements here define optional features like this small pop-up window which appears when you hover the mouse, and these bars that allow you to zoom data. You can find more examples here in the online demo application and also in the docs. So our official documentation now contains the section about the charts. So check it out. So now about the Maps add-on improvements. This add-on has some important new features. You can now display multi-point, multi-line, and multi-polygon shapes, plus heat map layers, and you can use clustering for pointers. Let's take a look at these features in action. Here in my application, I have a view, and I'll start from clustering. Clustering is essential for displaying large number of pointers. This map shows some famous cities founded by Romans. As you can see, some pointers are combined if they are too close to each other. When I zoom in or out, the clustering is changed dynamically. Let's take a look at this map code. Here in the map view, in the XML descriptor, I have this map component, geomap, and clustering is added to a vector data source just by wrapping it with the cluster element, which can have some options for clustering. Now let's about heat map. In a heat map, values are encoded by colors. So here the heat map displays the same data about cities. The heat map is provided by, this is the heat map component, and the heat map is provided by the special heat map layer, which has its own data source that can be connected to the same data container. And the last new feature in Maps is the ability to display multi-geometries. I have this map component on a different tab in the same view, and in the controller, I inject this component, get the vector source, and add a multi-polygon to the vector source. A multi-polygon is just a collection of polygons in a single geometry. So the map is a multi-polygon, looks like this. The next new feature is the RichTextEditor Component. As its name suggests, it allows users to edit formatted text. It saves it in HTML, and it can be connected to an entity property as any data-aware component. Jmix RichTextEditor is based on the Quill open-source JavaScript library. The usage of RichTextEditor is quite simple. You just add this component connected to a data container, or you can set the value programmatically through the component Java API. And here I also use a compact theme to make the editor toolbar a bit smaller. So here in my application, the RichTextEditor in action. Yeah. So as you can see, it has some basic capabilities for formatting text. We've added some new features related to main views. The menu filter field component allows users to filter main menu items. The initial layout element allows you to define a layout inside the empty area in the main view when no other views are open. The horizontal menu component allows you to create main views with the menu on top instead of the standard side menu. So here in my main view, I will uncomment this menu filter field component. It's linked, connected to a list menu by its ID, menu in this case. And this CSS classes provided by Vaadin just add some small offsets in the before and after the component. So here, if I refresh the page, you can see the menu filter component. If I enter something here, the menu shows only appropriate items and they are top-level menus. So the menu structure is preserved. The next feature is the initial layout element in the main menu, in the main view, in the app layout. So if I uncomment it here, my initial layout contains this header text. So it will be shown on the main view when no other views are open. Let's look at it. Again, I refresh the page and you can see this header text. Of course, it's overlapped by other views. Okay, so now about the most requested feature related to main views. It's the ability to have a horizontal menu on top. The simplest way to use this feature is to create a new main view using this main view with top menu template. So if I select this checkbox, use as default main view, Studio will replace the old main view with the new one in the application properties and in the road annotations of all existing views of your project. So Studio generates the new main view descriptor and controller. It has this horizontal menu component. And this component will take the menu structure from the same existing menu XML file. So I don't have to create a menu again. Studio also sets this new view here in application properties and in all other views of the application here in the parent, as a parent layout in the road annotation. Now I should restart my project. Let's wait a few seconds. So I log in and you can see this top menu. You can open the same views from here. Go to the root But please note that the new menu filter field doesn't work with horizontal menu, only with vertical list menu. We think that the horizontal menu requires a different approach from the user experience perspective. So now let's talk about the DataGrid improvements. They include automatic handling of double clicks in a grid row, the new grid column visibility component, and completed functionality of column header field. First, about double clicks. It's pretty normal for desktop users to double click a grid row to do some default action for this row. And now the double click either opens a detail view like this, or if it is open, or if a list view is open in the lookup mode, the double click completes the selection of an entity. Previously, users had to perform two actions. First, select a row and then click a button. Now let's switch to the IDE and look at the grid column visibility component. Here in my users list view, I have this new component. It is connected to a data grid by its identifier. And you can actually place it anywhere on your view. In my case, it in the buttons panel. To save the changes in the column state, your view also needs to have the settings facet. This one. So in the application, open the users list view. You can see this component. It looks like a button with a drop-down menu, but it shows all available columns. The usage is straightforward. You just click on the items and the component hides or shows the columns. And the last thing about the filter, about the filter in column headers. As promised, we improved it to save its state in the URL. Here, if I set the filter, it's reflected in the URL. So if I go to detail view and back, the filter is still here. So now you can use it without any limitations. Now about the usability improvement in generic filter. Previously, in order to filter by a nested collection property, you had to create a JPQL condition with join and where clauses, like the one shown on the left. This particular condition finds all users who has a specified completed date in their onboarding steps. Now the same condition can be created much more easily, just by selecting the property from the standard properties tree, which now displays also collection attributes. Let's take a look at it in the application. Again, open the users list, and I will add the condition by the steps completed date property. So now, when I apply this condition, the JPA data store automatically adds the required join and where clauses to the query. So the result is the same as for manually created JPQL condition. But now end users can do this easily for themselves. If you create a condition for a collection property itself, steps in my case. You can see the relevant operations for a collection is empty, contains, and doesn't contain. So if I set this condition, we can see that only admin user has an empty collection of steps, which is, yeah, perhaps it's true. So now let's go back to the slides, and we will talk about improvements in Studio. If you're using these add-ons, reports, email sending, BPM, or notifications, check out the new code snippets. You can find new sections in the palette. The snippets will help you with common tasks that involve the Java API of these add-ons, like sending emails and notifications, running reports, or managing processes. The next new feature in Studio is intended to help newcomers in building UI. It provides a number of wizards that can scaffold entire fragments of UI bound to data. The wizards are available through the same Add Component action on the second tab next to the standard component palette. For example, here I have an empty view. And let's imagine that I want to create a form for editing the department entity attributes. So I will start this wizard, edit entity attributes, select the entity department, and then select the attributes that I want to edit on the form. Click create, and Studio creates the form layout with fields connected to a data container with the proper fetch plan containing the selected attributes. So this generated code can be a good starting point for further customization. And the last new feature in Studio that I wanted to highlight is the extended support for testing. Now you can quickly switch to test sources from the Jmix tool window, generate stubs for integration tests of your business logic and UI, and you can also use the standard Studio injection features in your test classes. Let's take a look at this in the IDE. If you double click on the tests node, you can Studio will open the project tool window in your test sources. I can generate a new test, integration test. It will be properly annotated. Same for UI integration test. Yeah, the generated code will contain also some useful dependencies. And you can inject dependencies in the test class in the same way as in a regular Spring Beans. For example, here I will inject the entity states bean. Okay. In conclusion, I'd like to talk about some system-level improvements. In Jmix Studio 2, the entity enhancing step in the build process, which often takes significant time, will only be executed if there were changes to the data model since your last build. So if you are working on Spring Beans and not changing the entities, then the build and restart will be faster than before, especially in big projects with a lot of entities. When the build process skips the enhancing, you will see this message in the console. And as always, in feature releases, we've updated major dependencies to the latest versions. Now you can use Java 21 and all its language features for building applications. The framework is still built with Java 17, so it's also supported. We have upgraded the framework to the latest stable Spring Boot 3.2 and Vaadin 24.3. So you'll get the dependencies on and all transitive updates as soon as you migrate your project to Jmix 2.2. Studio will also change Gradle in your project to version 8.6. So we've covered the most important updates of Jmix 2.2. So now a few words about on our future plans. For the next release in June, we are going to implement an add-on for integration with Apache Superset, which is a leading open source data visualization platform. So you will be able to create dashboards in Superset and display them in Jmix application views. On the UI layer, we are going to provide the ability to define the layout of composite components in XML. This will make the composite components look like the fragments of classic UI. To simplify security configuration and make it more explicit, we are going to generate Spring security configuration classes right in the project. Also, we'll finish the work on data repositories in views and provide some new view templates. Later this year, we are going to implement the email templates and pivot table add-ons and integrate the calendar component. And one of our main goals, along with the BPA platform mentioned by Victor, is to provide a complete solution to working with external data sources, including generation of the model from an open API schema and working with it in the application UI. So that's all. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll hand over the microphone back to Victor. I hope everything is okay.
I'll make the second attempt. Hope everything will work now. And thank you, Konstantin. Thank you for sharing. I'll get the screen. Probably you may see my screen. Yeah, it looks that it works. Yeah, last time we've stopped here when I've tried to transform this user task from the input dialog to the Jmix view, and something failed. I've restarted the IntelliJ at last, and looks like it started to work. Tested it. Let's try one more time. So what I was trying to show you is that I tried to convert the input dialog user task to Jmix view and create the Jmix view using the BPM process form wizard. This is quite a new thing which guides you through the needed steps to configure and scaffold the code for the Jmix view. Please pay attention to the combo box, which allows you to choose which type of the process form you are going to create. We support two basic options. So the first one is the process form with process variables. It will just take the process variables from the process context and put them on the form. Another one is the process form for entity instance. It covers the use cases when you are going to work with the instance, with the entity instance in this user task, and you want to perform some persistence manipulations with it. And if you go this step, if you choose the option for the entity instance, you will be available to choose the instance you are going to work with. We'll follow the demonstration with the process variables scenario, and I will assign the descriptor name. I will put the name allocate workspace process form. Yeah, and click next. The next section, the wizard allows to configure the process variables I'm going to work with in this process form. Here I can also choose the process variables from the process context. I can also perform my own inputs. So I will take initiator from the form as an entity. from the user. It shouldn't be editable. The next one is the date. It will be the local date. The next one should be employee, to whom I'm going to assign the workplace. It should be also an entity, and it will be also the user. And the last field in this form is the workspace description. Disk. Sorry for typo. Yeah, and it should be multi-line screen, and it's editable and required. Then you will be able to configure the outcomes. So you can edit them, choose the icon, or reject some of them. I will leave on the submit option for the outcome for this user task. And finally, you will be able to configure the text messages for localization of the form. If everything runs okay, it will show you the screen descriptor and the controller, which was created by the wizard. And what's nice is that you will find that most of the annotations to make this form work properly in connection with BPM will be configured automatically. So you can see the annotation for outcome, it's a submit. You can see the mapping to the output variables of the process variables, date, employee, initiate, and the workspace description, which I have preliminarily configured. And the last thing which will be configured automatically is the handler of the let's say OK button or submit button with the proper call for the task completion method. The descriptor will be also configured automatically according to the fields I've put in the wizard. Yeah, and I can launch a preview here also to look how it looks like, the same as for the typical Jmix view. Yeah, this is how it works. And the next option we will try is we're going to check the hot deploy. So because we've just configured this process form right now, it has not been deployed to the application, and I've launched it already here in the browser. While we launch, just to test. Yeah, it works. It works. Yeah, and I will try the hot deploy process button to check whether it will work. The idea started indexing again. I don't know what happened this time, but I will go to the runtime and check whether it was updated. Let's go to the BPM section of the application, to the workspace preparation business process, and look for details. Here I can see only the second version. Maybe it is the updated one. Let's take a look at the model, the allocate workspace. Now I see that still it's the input dialog. Let's go to the IDEA. Maybe the update of the deploy have not been finished yet. Let's take a look at the run option. I don't see the message about the update. I will try to do it one more time. Yeah, I see that hot deploy worked, sorry. Yeah, now the process, BPM process deployed. We've got the message here. Let's take a look at the runtime of the application. Yeah, here now I can see that the next version appeared of the process in the runtime as the third version. And if we'll go to the modeler, we will see that the actual status of the user task is Jmix view assigned with the view ID with the Jmix view, which will appear on this step of the business process. So we assume that it reduces the time needed to design business processes, because everything works seamlessly between the design time and the runtime of the application. You don't need to switch between and relaunch the project for updating the business processes. They will be seamlessly updated. Yeah, that's all for today. Thank you very much for your attention. Just a moment, I'll take a look at the questions on the YouTube channel to check whether maybe we have something not answered yet. Second. Yep. Yeah, I see questions from Tom, but they received the answers, I see. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, I see that we almost covered all questions in the YouTube chat. That's great. Yeah, then I guess we can finalize for today with the Jmix 2.2. We've uncovered most of the major improvements in Jmix and highlighted the next steps, including the big steps in building process platform based on Jmix. And one of the most important feature for this year is consuming the external data sources using the Open API specification. We'll put a lot of efforts in this area because we understand the importance of consuming these data sources in real life in your applications. So thank you very much. Hope to see you next time with Jmix 2.3 in July. And hope that almost all of our ideas and highlights we've performed today will be done and will make you more productive. So stay with us. Click the bell in the YouTube channel to subscribe on our YouTube, and please subscribe on our accounts in LinkedIn and Twitter, and look for the news from the Jmix team. See you next time. Bye bye.